Are you ready?
What's up, guys? This is Tristen Thai, a.k.a. MLSW, Ikuro Kwon, representing Contra Unit. And you tune in this time on SOW Wrestling because I'm just speaking the truth like only I know how.
Is that the message you got? We about to go live. Are you ready to rock? So take a shot, boy. Is that the message you got? From the fans to the fans, let me hear the crowd pop. So take a shot, boy. Is that the message you got? We about to go live. Are you ready to rock? So take a shot, boy. Is that the message you got? From the fans to the fans, let me hear the crowd pop. So take a shot. Oh yeah, so take a shot. Oh, so take a shot. Oh, so take a shot.
Family, welcome to another exciting edition of A Shot of Wrestling, the interviews. If you have not done so already, follow us on all forms of social media at A Shot of Wrestling on Facebook and Instagram, and Shot of Wrestling No A on Twitter. You can also contact us via email at inbox@shotofwrestling.com or dial it up 619-343-3005 and leave your comments on a Shot of Wrestling hotline. Now we say it time and time again that wrestling brings us together, and today is no different. Today, we cut that check and are joined by one of the fastest rising fighters in our area. He is above the rest from MLW's Contra Unit, Ikuro Kwon, also known as Tristen Thai. Brother, welcome to A Shot of Wrestling.
What's good, man? What's good, man? Thank you for having me.
It is.
It took a long time.
It did. You know what's interesting about that you're mentioning that there's been a lot of your boys, a lot of your brothers that we have had on the show, and I guarantee you every time we ended an episode with them, they were always like, yo, so much fun, we had a good time, but you know who you need to get on? You need to get in Tristen. He's got a story to tell. And I was like, all right. Well, today we're going to tell that story because I want to learn all about you, brother. I want to learn all about you, but I have to get started with a little bit of sad news because unfortunately you're out with injury, and I think a lot of people who will be tuning in want to get an update on where you are, on what's going on. So fill us in on this injury that recently happened with you.
Well, it's been an emotional week, a couple of weeks. First off, R.I.P. Matt Travis, my brother. That was a big hit to the community, to myself, to his family, to his friends. You know what I mean? Like it was a hard hit for wrestling and New York as a whole. But having that in mind gave everybody a whole different kind of drive because of how easy things can end. You know, it's always in the back of your mind. You always know that. But when it hits you specifically, it kind of switches your gears. It either makes you regress or makes you progress. You know what I'm saying? So me and Gabe had this match at Full Faith Wrestling. Our debut was a fatal four-way tag, and we had the NBK in our tape. Like, this is our first match to remember him and put his line of work and his dedication into fruition for all the people there. It was our dedication match to him. And we were just doing, it was very early in the match. We were hitting our dives, things that we do. I go for my dive, and as I plant my feet to go over, to flip over the top, I thought someone like punched my kneecap, and I was like, yo, what? That hurt. And then, but I couldn't. It was all right, so I shook it off. But this is all happening like in midair, and all of a sudden I feel the top rope on my stomach, which I never feel because I cleared the top rope. I land on my feet from the flip. Like, it makes people think that I can high fly. No, I can't. But I do it, and then I just land, like grossly. My ass hits the apron. I'm just like stand. I'm like, that was terrible. And then I hear a fan go, "What the hell was that?" And I was like, I knew it was ugly, so I'm gonna get in his face though, and I just fall. I just limp away. I'm like, what happened? I couldn't stand up. I tried to stand up again. Messed up. It was me and Gabe's hot tag. I'm trying to get in so we can do our double. Fall right off the apron. I'm just like, what happened? They pulled me to the back. My knee's the size of a basketball. They rushed me to the hospital. They take x-rays. It's too swollen. Then yesterday I got MRIs. Turns out I ruptured my patella tendon, dislocated my kneecap, and I have strained ligaments all around the knee joint. So I'm getting surgery on Tuesday. So I'm out for the year, which sucks. I had some big things coming up this year, but health is the most important thing. And I'm glad that it happened on my account, not doing a move to someone else where someone else could get in trouble or someone else could get hurt. So I'm glad that if it was solo, it wasn't because of someone. It wasn't at the risk of someone else's health. So all things considered, it was the best case scenario in terms of getting hurt, I guess.
Now, was it after so many years of putting torture on that knee?
Yeah, the doctor said it was like a ticking time bomb situation. I have a lot of wear and tear from doing martial arts all my life, from playing sports, soccer, basketball, football, and just amateur wrestling. A lot of strain on the joint. And over the summer, I think just doing some, matches and just training, working out, that there's been like knee pain, nothing crazy, but just it hurt. I didn't really pay attention to it. And the doctor was saying that this type of motion, this explosive movement, was almost like the last straw that the tendon needed to tear. Mm-hmm. So hopefully now, when I start rehabbing and all that, I'll be able to instruct the therapists and all them what I'm looking to do and things to do to strengthen my bad knee and my good knee so it doesn't happen. So it's a learning experience that we all need, and hopefully whoever's listening to this can take some advice from that and just always just ice, take care of yourself. If there's a pain, get it checked out. It's better doing that than, luckily I'm young enough, I'm still on my parents' insurance, you know what I'm saying? So it works out that way. But for you to, if you don't, you gotta take care of yourself first and foremost, because as much as you don't want your spot taken, your spot's gonna be vacated a lot longer if you let yourself get really hurt.
You are very young in your career, and that's something that, we mentioned, you're one of the fastest rising stars in our area. And it's true, because you've only been in the business about 2 years now. And to get the opportunity to work with a company like MLW, that's huge. Could you walk us through on how that started happening? Who was the main players in it? Did you just get a call one day? It's like, hey, Tristen, we're interested in you. This is what we want you to do.
Well, the main player, first and foremost, is my trainer, Kono. He's one of my best friends now. I owe everything to him. Like at this point, we're really close friends, but he's always on that upper echelon of people who I admire because of the time he took and dedicated to teach me this craft and to continue to show me things, continue to critique and continue to let me know the truth about the business. And give me the confidence to wrestle. I had my first match against him, and it was awesome. And I learned a lot from him that day. And then just having the guts and being surrounded by people who push you to go certain places. Denaro, Barton, and Gabe, they pushed me to go to Dojo Wars because I didn't think I was ready. From there, they took a really quick liking to me and Gabe right away. Wanted to use us, explore, and to teach us their way of thinking. From there, Gabe again convinced me to go to this Beyond tryout. So we did the Beyond Wrestling tryout. Gabe ended up winning that tryout, but I was one of the 4 favorites that they liked from that tryout. They gave us a shot to wrestle at one of their shows in a dark match for uncharted territory. We ended up getting called, me and Gabe, which was amazing. Then Gabe got to do the Lethal Lottery against Matt Cross. I was there for that. That was awesome to see that. And then we got called again to be on their Beyond Secret show in Boston, which was an incredible honor again. Because they could have picked anybody. So we're on these main shows with these guys that are just showing us so much, just not directly to us, but what we're watching, how they're interacting. And then CZW moves me and Gabe up to the main roster, and through the footage from Beyond, CZW, MLW found that footage, and they called me up and offered me a contract. They saw something, I guess, in me that was marketable enough to take a chance on a young unknown kid. Now the ball's in my court, and I'm just trying to play as many minutes as I can, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the companies you're naming are insane. They're pretty much on the East Coast, like the companies you want to be part of: Beyond Wrestling, CZW, MLW. And it all started with humble beginnings at FTW. And I think it has to be said, you and your group of above the rest are, the motto has been shared, ironing, sharpening iron. That's exactly what you guys are doing. You guys are always challenging each other to be better.
It's like, we want everybody to succeed. We're all going through the same stuff. And it's our job to stand out to where people feel that they can invest money in our product and our work. So any advice that I get, I try to pass along, and it's not, I tell them right off the bat, it's not me telling you this. It's things that I'm learning that I want you guys to learn, because as opposed to being at the stage that I'm on in 10 years, and once I get there, I got to unlearn 10 years of stuff to learn it their way. I'm coming in fresh off the bat. I'm only learning what they want. I'm only learning the right way in terms of how they think a wrestling production should be done and a wrestling match should be handled and executed. So if I'm only learning that and I can help my friends, I don't want to use the word cut corners because we don't do that, but to get the proper insight to where they don't have to make dumb mistakes, where they can already learn without making those mistakes. That's what I want. So whatever they do with that, that's on them, and they know that. Same thing with me. I need to consistently, whether that's my own pride or whether that's, my own sense of self-responsibility, but I know that I have to set the bar for myself all the time. So,
Any advice that you would give to an up-and-coming talent in the area? Because you've done what many people have been working 10 years to accomplish, and you've done it in a short amount of time.
Yeah. Well, part of it is, I would say, like, if the truth hurts, change it. That's my big advice on everything. It's like, I don't like my body. Well, change it. I don't like, I'm not fast enough. Change it. I don't like the way I look here. Well, then change it. If you really want something, you'll get it. But a lot of people will say it and they won't do the work that it takes to be put in because it's too hard. And once you already accept that something is too hard on the way to the journey, you're never going to get to the finish line. There's no way. So surround yourself with people who care. If you want to be on TV, you want to wrestle the top guys, you want to be a household name, whatever the case is, if that's your goal, then you've got to surround yourself with those people who are either doing it or on their way to doing it, and that's how you come up. I know that I'm very gifted in the case of that I was at the right place at the right time and I was the right guy. I have a different look than most people on the scene right now in terms of our area. I have a different style. I have a different attitude. I have a different mindset. That's what's marketable. It has nothing to do with my experience or my skill set, technically. You know what I'm saying? I'm still learning so much stuff in terms of psychology, in terms of execution, in terms of movement. But there's something that I'm doing that they believe that they are okay to sign off on. And what I believe that is not just the work ethic. It's the realization that if I believe I'm supposed to be here, then I'm going to be there. And I want my boys to feel that way first, because I know how good they are, and I know that they can. If once they have that, they just have that click, and that light bulb goes off, where they're like, when they realize that they can do more, and then they go ahead and do more. That's how it goes. Because if you don't put in the work, somebody else is right behind you. I mean, most people, they don't talk about it, they just do it, and that's a very, very valuable lesson I learned. Don't say it, do it.
Yeah, put those words into action. What do you want to do? What is in your future plans?
Everyone's goal, man. I mean, my goal was to be in WrestleMania. You know what I mean? Like, that's the goal.
How early did that become the goal?
I mean, the first thing I saw, man, I was at a house party at my house. It was like a family party. It was whack, so I went to my back room, closed the door. I was like trying to turn on the TV. I couldn't find the remote, so I had to press the button. And it was wrestling. Wrestling was on when it was SmackDown was on UPN 9. That's what it was. John Cena came out and started rapping to Rhino or the FBI or something like that. But I just saw this dude, man, cool, had like sick jersey, like he was just rapping, like he was jacked, like just talking shit, like it was funny, but it was cool, like, and then he beat him up. I was like, what is this? And then ever since then, I was hooked because I always thought it was in that TV room. So I kept going on that TV room every night until I figured it out that it was wrestling. And then I go to Blockbuster, get some tapes over there. I remember, like, I only knew 2003 SmackDown. That's the only thing I knew. I didn't know Raw existed. I didn't know anything else existed. So when I asked my mom to give me a wrestling tape, she brought back the 1997 Royal Rumble. I said, what the hell is this? I didn't know who anybody was. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know what was good. But it was just awesome in like the weirdest way. Like I really didn't know much, but I knew that's what I wanted to do for some reason. And I was just like, this is what I'm doing, and that was it forever. So I guess since like maybe like 8 years old. I guess.
That's fucking awesome. That's awesome. When did you discover the independent scene?
When I got in it.
Yeah.
No, for real though. Like honestly, the only thing I do outside of WWE was I knew who Sting was, and I saw Nick Mondo get thrown off a roof in CZW. That's the only clips I saw. And Low-Ki versus Red. Those were the only things I knew of. And I knew backyard wrestling existed, but I didn't really know about the independents like at all.
And now you're working with companies like CZW, and they've created a name around that hardcore wrestling. But, is that something you want to do in the future, more hardcore stuff?
I like to put it in terms of like, does the risk match the reward? You know what I'm saying? I'm about money. You know what I mean? People can say whatever they want. But if the risk matches the reward, I'll do it the payoff. You know what I'm saying? If it was a big payoff for a match, yeah, I'd do a crazy hardcore match if it made sense to what we're doing. If it helped build the story arc, if it made sense to the fans, if it made the fans, if it was genuinely like organic in how it came about, I would do it. Other than that, no. Like, why would I want that? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just, I want to put on a show, but I also want to have it make sense for whatever I'm doing. I think there's a time and place for everything. I don't look down on people that do it. In fact, I respect them for the hell out of them. This year was my first time going to Tournament of Death and just seeing deathmatch hardcore wrestling live.
Mm-hmm.
And that was crazy to watch, bro. Especially going in the back later after the adrenaline wears off, talking to some of these guys. There's definitely a different type of passion that I didn't grow up having. So I think that's where the disconnect is with hardcore wrestling and deathmatch wrestling for me.
And what a better platform to go from CZW then to MLW. So you mentioned that, getting signed, they recognized something in you. I was there for your debut, man. It was an insane moment for me inside because it kind of felt like it's one of our guys, there. I wasn't expecting it. And then when you came out and it was someone completely different, I was like, wow, what is he going to do? He threw the green mist. It was like you had a whole new different gear on, different attitude. And I'm like, this is interesting. So how did the character get approached to you?
So the idea they had initially was to bring me in, and they weren't really sure exactly what they wanted. There was a lot of different ideas. They saw me from Beyond, and shout out Drew Cordero and the entire Beyond family because they have a special place for me. But they saw me doing, I guess, my moveset. They saw my look. I'm pretty much the only Asian wrestler in the tri-state, I think. That aspect caught their eye. The fact that I speak English, I think that matters to a point because that's another element of a minority there. And I think they just liked the age too. I think they liked that I was young and not really known, so they can kind of build me in that image type deal. Then they approached me with Contra Unit. I didn't really know what Contra Unit was. I didn't really know what MLW. I didn't really know the independents or the other professional circuits out there. Really,
yeah.
I had to kind of start from square one and look at the entire storyline of what it was, and then I was really into how they were building MLW, the whole company as a whole, and all these things. And they told me how they wanted me to be. They said I'm going to be like a pit fighter that they found, that they hired, an assassin, ninja, but also I'm still me. So it was very hard. It's still very hard to really encapsulate what their image of what they want in, and to make me comfortable with adding myself intertwined with all that to make it natural. I think that's the key point, is to make it natural, because fans can see through right away if you're not feeling the gimmick or you're forging something that isn't there. So for me, the big challenge was to come into a storyline, be a part of a group, because I know it always happens when you add new members, the group falls apart and no one cares about their group anymore.
Yeah.
You see that with every group. So the fact that I wasn't in the original set of it made me a little nervous because I knew I had to do a little bit more. But the guys I have around me, Simon Gotch, who is more helpful than I could have ever imagined, a really, really good man. Awesome. Sheik, Joseph Samael, another one, an OG who I really wanted to impress. I really wanted to prove my value to him because, again, he's from the old school, man. You had to earn your keep. Here's this kid coming in from New York 2 years in, and he's on television, and he better not act like he's supposed to be, type thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had to really earn my keep with him. And then Fatu, who's we connect on a lot of levels. We connect on a street level. We connect on a heart-to-heart level. He's someone who, again, is also learning, but has so much good people around him, obviously, that he just has such a cool mind for it. And watching him switch gears from us chilling and drinking in the back, at like after a show, and then just realizing that like 6 hours before that he was in the main event tearing it up with LA Park, like those types of people. I'm having low key. I owe a lot to him, breaking things down for me, taking an interest in me, putting me under his wisdom tree, I like to say, because he didn't have to. He could just let me fade out if you know what I mean. There's a respect level there where I owe a lot to him, and he's been awesome. He's been awesome since day one. Court Bauer himself. I mean, he saw me. George Carroll. I can go on forever. All good people, and I think being around these locker rooms where everybody cares, where everybody wants to be at the top, that's the environment you need. Like, you don't want to be the hardest worker in the room. You go to some indie shows and there's people like picking their nose. There's people outside smoking cigarettes. There's people who are coming in late with like McDonald's. Like, there's just a lot of things where it's like it's just not the vibe that you care that you want. It's not the professionalism you want. You go to a show, you see there's people who like they want to make sure that no one has the same finish, that no one has the same moves in their shine, that make sure no one has like they're very articulate about making the entire performance amazing, the entire show different. All of those reasons, for example, to be at MLW is a gift because I'm learning so much all at once. So it's just got to be as much of a sponge as you can to absorb all that knowledge and then pass it down to the people that matter. You know what I mean?
You mentioned a lot of people who you're under that learning tree. What is the one piece of advice that you have gotten in the last few years that has stuck with you still to this day?
Oh man, there's no such thing as a stupid question. I know it's kind of cliche because right, like when you care about something, you won't ask a dumb question. There's a lot of people who ask questions because this is somebody important. I'm just going to ask him a question so he thinks that I care. Like, no, and people see right through that. There's questions to ask because you're genuinely curious about the product and the overall outcome and the overall performance. And then there's questions to ask because you don't know what to say. And also that actions speak louder than words. Yes, they brought me in. Yes, they invested in me. Yes, they signed me to a deal. Blah blah blah. But if I don't perform, if I don't execute, that all that means nothing. I have to keep, earn your keep. You're only as good as your last match. You're only as good as your last performance in anything. So you want to make sure that you can deliver and be reliable, and making sure that to be a team player and take care of yourself too.
So it sounds like it's a group of people working together to achieve a goal. And a lot of times you think about professional wrestling and you think about me, it's the individuals who try and get themselves over, but it sounds like MLW is more like a family, a group.
Yeah. The Beyond people are kind of like that too.
I've heard that, yeah.
CCW is like that too. I've been blessed. And then FTW, I've met some of the best friends I've ever had, so again, I haven't been all over yet, but the places that I've been to, I think I've been very blessed to be at those places at these times because they really help mold how I envision wrestling and how I like to carry out myself throughout it with fellow workers and fans.
You mentioned you were influenced through martial arts. Is there anything else, any other kind of sport that has influenced you throughout the years?
Not really. I honestly, like, martial arts is a big deal, and also just for just from the streets too, just growing up and fighting for fighting for what you want, type of thing.
Where did you grow up?
That's just. I grew up in Baldwin, New York. It's out in Long Island, and I had a good home. It was just my personal choices that I made. Things that I fell into, things that I've done, and just things that I used to regret, and now I realize that they're just lessons. They kind of molded me, who I am, my attitude towards life, and how I treat people, and I guess how I might come off to other people too.
Hindsight, definitely. Man. I think you look back at your adolescent years, growing into yourself, and becoming the man that you are. You made the bad experience at the time and say, yeah, well, at least I learned something from it. What are some of those bad experiences that in the moment you were like, wow, this is trouble. This is probably the worst thing I could have done?
Oh, getting into fights, going to jail.
You've been to jail?
Yeah.
For what?
A few things, fighting, affiliations with things that I shouldn't have been with. Just being dumb, man, honestly, and not having my eye on the prize. The problem was I did really well in school, and I was able to get away with a lot more than I should have whether that was with the courts or that was with schools, because I'd have straight A's because my attitude towards school was, let me not get straight A's. It was, let me show these teachers that I know more than them, type of thing. That was my attitude towards it. So if I was from here and I would have, an A on a test, and I know I didn't study, that meant that I was right. It had nothing to do with, I wasn't thinking, that's going to be good because you're going to have to get into good schools. It wasn't that. It was just, I know more than this teacher. And that's just how I felt.
You are a very smart guy. You're actually pursuing a master's in social work. Is the reason that you're still pursuing an education is like a backup plan to wrestling?
Well, it's a little bit of all that. I signed up for my master's program over the summer, and about 2 weeks later, I got signed by MLW. That was something where it was, okay, maybe if things don't really pop off, I got to be able to support myself, with my girl now too. Like, I want to be able to support myself, and I needed a purpose to do other things. I always wanted to either help people and wrestle. That's all I wanted to do. Social work, specific area that I want to be with is troubled youth and teens, because that was me. I was able to find the light, see it, pursue it, and achieve it. And I want to be able to speak on kids firsthand and let them know that it's possible, and try to help them. And you got to get a degree to do it. So it was something that I was interested in, something I wanted to do. And wrestling, doing both at the same time is not easy. Especially finals week is coming up. I got this surgery coming up. I had a couple of dates lined up. We were ending up the year for CWK's death, late December. Had MLW early December, and little things in between, and again and finals. So it was a lot, but it's all, again, like, everyone's plate's full in their own way. You know what I mean? Mine is, to, I guess, to someone else hearing it, it's pretty ridiculous, and it is. Like, I see that, not really sleeping, doing an unpaid internship all day, and then right after that going to class, then going to the gym or going to train, and then doing homework after, waking up and doing it all over again, and then flying to a city, bringing the homework with you, studying for a test on the plane, turning in a paper while I have a pay-per-view match that day. And then I got to fly back to the next flight back home, go to the internship from the flight because I get home then, and then go to class right after that. It's not easy.
Bro, I would complain about my schedule. You just floored me with the amount of shit that you got to do. I'm literally, I can't complain anymore.
No, but it is though, man. It's good to be busy, man. Because when you're not busy, you do dumb things.
Right. You're part of this whole culture. We say it time and time again. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan because there's so many options. There's so many things to see. Does it feel weird sometimes that it's not just a good time to be a wrestling fan, but it's kind of a good time to be a wrestler, and you being part of the changes going on and being given these opportunities to really put wrestling on the map? How does that feel for you?
It's awesome, man. I mean, none of my friends, I have a select few, baby, and I can literally count on one hand, a select few of friends that actually grew up watching wrestling, continued to watch wrestling, and are wrestling fans. No one else that I'm cool with is a wrestling fan. They like my stuff. They don't come to my shows. You know what I mean? Like, they don't watch me on TV. They don't look at me on YouTube. Like, they like my stuff on Instagram and all that stuff, but like, they don't watch wrestling. What's crazy is certain things that I've been showing them, it's been hooking them to where they actually follow some wrestling pages, not to see what's going on, but just things that just quick clips on your feed of just moves, because wrestling has been so crazy lately, and there's so much exposure, just like everything, politics, sports, there's world news, like wrestling too. Like, wrestling is worldwide, and you get to see it, and it's in small doses, like tolerable doses. You don't got to watch a 20-minute match if you're not into wrestling. You don't got to watch a promo with bad acting. You don't got to watch but you can watch a Canadian Destroyer all day. You know what I mean? You can watch a Shooting Star Press all day. You can watch Pac do whatever he does. You can watch these guys do all these things. You can watch the Lucha Bros. You can watch Fatu, 210 pounds, do a spaceman over the top rope like it's nothing. That's nothing but entertainment. So in a way, I feel that because that's kind of what it is now. It's kind of very fast. Oh, that was cool. Type of thing. I think it appeals to more people, and I think it's getting so much more credibility worldwide, especially now that there's a lot of professional athletes that are crossing over. I think that it's just becoming more respected. I think it's always going to be sports, redheaded stepchild, but at the same time, I think it's still getting more recognition for being a legit sport, because especially if everyone is a walking billboard for how real and how dedicated you can be in professional wrestling. If I walk around with a black eye, when I walk around on crutches because I popped my knee out, when you can't walk, you're limping a little bit, when you have a broken bone, whatever the case is, you're people who see you are wrestling fans go, oh, wow, that's legit. Like, yeah, it's legit. Watch this. And everyone kind of defends the business for themselves. And I think that because there's so many people that are doing it now, I think the exposure is just consistently there. Everyone just knows what wrestling is again now.
It's really weird because we started this podcast about 3 years ago now. We look back at it, and I remember having this conversation with Michael J. Putty and saying, yo, we got this podcast at the right time. Like, wrestling couldn't be any hotter. A year goes by, and we're like, yo, how great is wrestling right now? And now 3 years go by, and I can't believe how every year there's more growth and there's more exposure to it and there's more opportunities for people and more people are doing more things. And I'm like, I don't see it slowing down, bro, at all.
No,
I do not
it doesn't.
see it slowing down.
You see, and even for the really loyal fans and stuff like that, this past week in Survivor Series, you watched Matt Riddle pin Randy Orton at Survivor Series. We're seeing so many things there's so many dream matches that are coming up, from a fan perspective. At least, I'm seeing people that I was on shows with, things that I've built, helped build a ring for them possibly, you know what I'm saying, or just been around. Not that I really build rings. Danero's going to laugh when he hears this. I don't build rings at all. I don't do it. In general, just seeing people that we were around, really bumping shoulders with on these main stages, it's awesome to watch because it increases hope, but it also just it brings a tear to your eye somewhat, because it's people that you care about and that you actually like on a personal level are making it to where they want to be. So,
but that's part of breaking into the business, right? Building rings.
That's what they say, man.
That's a big thing.
Know.
It's a big thing.
That's a big thing.
If people wanted to keep track of your progression on your recovery, where can we follow you on all your social media?
You can follow me on Twitter at Ikuro Kwon, on Instagram and Facebook at Tristen Thai. Other than that, don't follow me because I'm going to kick you in the face. Probably if you follow me too close. Follow me on social media. I'm not weird though. You can DM me and ask. You can just ask me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not weird. I don't turn people away like that. I was actually very surprised at how many people actually reached out. Because to me, it's not a big deal. It was just me letting people know that I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z shows because I'm hurt. I didn't expect the amount of people to reach out to ask how I was doing or if I needed. Shout out to all the people who reached out for that. Because that's awesome.
One of the things I respect about your social media page is it's pretty real. I don't think they're you see a lot of professional wrestlers' social media pages and it's their gimmick. It's them promoting their next show, them promoting their matches. But you look at yours, it is who you are. It's a little bit of who you are in your personal life. It's a little bit of what you're doing. It's a little bit of your wrestling stuff. I don't see that clear line of, hey, this is Tristen Thai, just my wrestling page. Is that something you did strategically, or it's just you don't care?
I think it's both. I mean, there is the only real line between Tristen Thai and me is the fact that I usually keep my shirt on when I fight. It's really just a name change, man. That's me. I think I'm very lucky that I figured that out early on. Because I think that was the real the connection point between the character and doing a moveset and making it feel real and natural. Because everything that I do in the ring, from Tristen Thai, that's just me. And I think that was very helpfully guided by people like Kono, who were just just be you. I was like, oh, all right. You know what I mean? I was trying to think of a character, trying to think of this or that. Why don't you just be yourself?
Thank you so much, Tristen, for joining us on this episode. One last question I have to ask. If we were to get together in a year from now, what would you want people to be saying about Tristen Thai?
I should have bought his T-shirt with $25.
And on that note, thank you so much for joining us on A Shot of Wrestling, but stick around because we still have last call.
All right, I appreciate you, man. Thank you, man. What's going on, everybody? Just wrapped up this interview with SOW Wrestling, but stay tuned to after the episode because you're going to hear a little bit of Last Call.
Well, that wraps up another great interview here on A Shot of Wrestling. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube and follow us on all forms of our social media. It's a little thing that goes a long way. But listen, interviews, they're just part of the conversation we create here on A Shot of Wrestling. Mark Schwann and Michael J. Putty host a weekly podcast that oversees and over-reviews and overrules anything that's going on in the world of professional wrestling. So make sure you check them out wherever you get your podcasts, whether it be iTunes, Podbean, SoundCloud, Spotify, or here on YouTube. So for Michael J. Putty, Mark Schwann, and the entire squad of A Shot of Wrestling, remember, if you're ready and willing, I'm able. Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time I need to announce it's last call at the bar.
Oh. Well, everybody, we are back here, and just when you think you're done, they bring you back in, and we just still have a little bit more time with Tristen Thai. So, Tristen, this is how it's played. It's rapid-fire questions. The first thing that comes to your mind is the first thing you should answer. Are you ready?
I guess so.
Then away we go. Who is your favorite wrestler of all time?
Randy Orton.
Other than wrestling, what is your favorite sport?
Football.
What fictional character would you like to face in the ring?
Tommy the Green Ranger.
I like to see that, bro.
Only because I think it's more possible than anything else.
Totally. What is the worst job you've ever had?
Shit. I was a seafood clerk at a supermarket.
What's your favorite karaoke song?
Don't Stop Believing.
What is the best feature on a woman?
Oh, God. Ass.
You're an ass, man. Who is your celebrity crush?
My girl's eyes, though. I'll put that there. Celebrity crush. Damn. Who's that mom from Modern Family? The Hispanic one.
Sofia Vergara.
Yeah, she's bad. Her.
If you can change anything about yourself, what would it be?
Be taller.
What is your pet peeve in wrestling?
Fans thinking they can wrestle.
If your career ended tomorrow, what would you like to be remembered for?
Someone who didn't live with regret.
And finally, how much is it going to cost me to cut this check?
And we could talk numbers all day. Whatever you got, honestly.
Tristen, thank you so much for joining us on A Shot of Wrestling. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa. Have a great holiday. And thank you again for joining us on this episode.
I appreciate you guys. You likewise.
Hey, baby, I hear the bell ringing, hip tosses and body slams. Oh, my. And maybe you seem a bit confused. Yeah, baby, but I got you pinned. Ha, 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 ha. But I don't know what to do when I see them with that golden case. They're cashing it in. Authority all in my face. What is a man to do? Good night, everybody.